That gun's funny.
Alright, spawning in the left-hand corner of the map from Gravity Gaming, it is Jeebus against a Zerg player from SCA. It is Reborn. SCA is up 2-1 in this clan war so far. This is going to be a TvZ.
Okay, so it is the first TvZ we get to watch this evening, at least in this clan war. Maybe you've been rocking StarCraft streams all night, but I always like to enjoy my morning whiskey and beer with a TvZ. The true matchup of Fury.
StarCraft stream sucks unless it's Nesty streaming.
Don't you mean end Space Whale streaming?
Yeah, but
Twitch.tv/Space Whales
you're not
now.
Nesty though. Nesty is just way up there. No one can topple Nesty when he's doing Nesty strategies on stream. It's just the greatest thing ever.
I want a stream where Nesty off races. See what he does
Oh,
with the
God.
other races, it'd be amazing.
He ends up just playing completely standard and he's really good.
That would be Lozira's off race.
Yeah, just does regular Bio, splits amazingly well, and you go, why is he playing Zerg?
Oh man, who's the other player I want to see off race? MVP. That guy's got an insane game understanding.
Yeah. I just want to see MVP stream, period.
Pretty sure he could win a GSL with like any race. At least
Alright,
before.
so CC first on the low ground for Jeebus, and this is gonna work out really well for him. Reborn actually went for a hatch first, so no threat of a 10 pool or earlier pool. And Reborn is going for a 16 pool with no gas after hatch. We'll have to see if he places down that extractor at 17. But it looks like he's just going to be gearing up for a gasless expand. Obviously, there is the case where players get it a little bit later. It's like a weird 18, 19, 20 extractor. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but normally if you're going to do that, you want to pump out speed as fast as you can. So this does look like a gasless expand, and Jeebus is going into a very standard 1 Rax, 1 refinery play.
Really, the only deviation that we have to wait for is the second gas timing from our Terran player. That'll be indicative of his follow-up.
Yeah, either a very Flash-esque style or Innovation-esque style, or obviously they do mix it up and put Hellbat drops in. But it always goes into the same variation, and Hellbats do work well with the Bioforce early, so it's really more on the Zerg reacting more than anything. And this Overlord's actually going to be placed in the middle of the map, so he's going to be able to see if an army slowly moves out, but it's not going to be for a while. Jeep is setting up his defenses with 1 bunker and just 2 Marines. And he's probably just going to be going straight into that factory, which he should be placing down right about now.
So where he's putting those overlords, do you remember that spot in Shakura's when you could actually put units up there too?
Yeah, tanks.
Man.
Amazing.
That would be just beautiful on this map.
Yeah.
I think Jeebus knows where that overlord is. These Marines gotta run home now to get away from those lings, but he was trying to peck away at it.
Yeah, definitely not worth it to float the barracks off of a build like this. You're already being so economically greedy. Not being able to produce from one of your facilities at this stage will really stifle your economy. And it looks like he's just going to be moving out with 2 Marines. Good recognition there that there's really no threat of speed. And so far it's going to be going up to 4 Queens here for Reborn, and he's going to take a double 36 gas. So this is a very early gas for a no gas expand like this. From the Zerg player, it probably means he's going to be stopping at just 4 Queens and going to a very fast layer. And this strategy is actually quite common nowadays. What it does is it allows the Zerg player to get a very fast saturation on 2 base, possibly put down that 3rd, because there's no real threat against Hellions of building dying. And if you get those Mutalisks out fairly quickly, you can actually counter Hellbat drops with Mutalisks, which is probably the best way to go because it kills both the Medivacs and the Hellbats. But it looks like Jeebus is going straight into a 3rd CC off of just 1 rack. So this is a very standard innovation / every other Terran player in the world that plays in Pro League opening. It's going to be into 3 CCs and a lot of bio. The only thing I want to note is he hasn't placed down his 2 engineering bays yet. And Terrans have been getting more greedy and greedy on that. So very odd to see him not place that down.
Yeah, he went for Stim before it. He's actually pumping on a Marauder now, I feel like just for safety reasons. He hasn't really scouted out much from his Zerg opponent. That's what these 2 Hellions are going to do here. Find out that a 3rd has been dropped.
More of a unit combination to go for if you're going to put down 3 Raxes before the 3rd CC. Because it does give you that a little bit of timing where you can move out with a few Hellions, 1 or 2 Widow Mines, and maybe 2 or 3 Marauders with some Marines. But he's going to be placing down his engineering base now in a very good location against Mutalisks. And as you said, Jeebus knows that a 3rd base is going down. checking out for that fourth, and should be able to feel pretty safe going into that macro playoff of 3CCs.
And you know, Reborn's looking quite safe himself. His wall is quite sturdy. Getting that upgrade on the way, so trying to keep up with those of the standard Terran player. Looks like things are looking stable as we approach the mid game here.
Yeah, so he is opening Roaches, but this is a very common opening nowadays just because Hellions, Reapers, and especially Hellbats are so dangerous to deal with if you're not prepared. You can't really react when it shows up at your base. It's usually too late, so he is going into the melee upgrades off the 2 evolution chambers, so this is probably going to be a very standard opening. We'll have to see if he wants to go into Mutas or if he wants to go with a mass Baneling Roach attack. And we'll really get to know that when we start seeing him pump either more Roaches or if he just goes back into a mineral deposit of Justlings.
Yeah, it looks like these Roaches right now are, as you mentioned, for defensive purposes, still droning up very heavily behind this. His speed has just been started, with the layer about halfway. It'll be a while before he has the capacity to punish this third that Jeebus is floating down now right away. 2 Widow Mines safely in position there too. I really like how Jeebus is approaching this matchup.
Yeah, Jeebus doesn't know that his opponent doesn't have speed, but he only has 5 Roaches out on the map, so these 2 Widow Mines is actually the perfect defense right now, and there's nothing Reborn can do to this third base for quite some time, and that's going to allow him to tower all of his racks. He's setting up those reactors right now, adding in that starport, adding in 2 more racks, and getting double upgrades, so it's going to be a very safe game for Jeebus going into that 10, 11, 12 minute mark, and it looks like the Zerg player is going back into Zerglings, and he's actually building 20 of them off of 69 workers. So this probably is going to be muta play. I can't see him going into just Roaches and Balings at this point.
But the glial reconstitution has been started.
That is
maybe
true.
Some more Roach play. Yeah, Baneling Nest, as you've just spotted. I was about to say that it looks like Jeebus is going to have a very strong timing off of this early third saturation. However, it looks like that these 2 players could be riding out into each other, both hitting similar aggressive timings. Oh, I didn't even notice
this
that
is the
yeah.
snoot strategy of play. You want to take 4 gases off of your main and your natural, and take a 4th base as fast as you can and get 16 workers mining off of both the 3rd and the natural. That will allow you to economically produce as many Roaches and Banelings and Lings as you possibly can off of basically a mass mineral deposit, because mostly you want to just remax on those Lings. And the one thing that this is very weak against is drop play, and 2 medevacs are being queued up for Jeebus right now. The creep is being cleared, so this is going to have to come down to how well does Reborn handle Jeebus' mass aggression if he goes into that drop play.
So many Widow Mines out defensively for Jeebus too. It looks like a very nice setup in case any Banelings start rolling in. Going for a little bit of a Ling surround is Reborn, but once again Jeebus with crisp reaction time, able to bait his way back into the middle of the map and punish the Zerg player for his efforts.
Yeah, and everything is going pretty well for Jeebus up until this point. The Hellions right now surviving still at the 12-minute mark, and you really only need those to kind of kill the threat of any Baneling Ling aggression onto your 3rd base. But, you know, that was about 5 minutes ago, and there's absolutely no threat right now because he has a full bio army, and he's not actually going to opt to drop, which actually is the direct counter to this strategy. So this is going to fall into Reborn's hands. He's going to be able to be producing a ton of units off of 76 workers and a base ahead of Jeebus. It's going to come down to the splits. Here comes all the Widow Mines all clumped up, but luckily Reborn is on creep, and he's going to force Jeebus to be on that creep as well. Here comes the Widow Mine burst. It's a huge surround. 1 nice hit, 2 nice hits. Baneling speed is not killed, but every single Baneling except for the ones in the back are killed right now. 155 supply to 154. Both players extremely close. 8 Roaches, 22 Lings in production. The speed and the 2-2 upgrades of the Zerg player are not done yet. And all the Banelings are gone, and there are nothing but Roaches against 1-1 Bio.
Yeah, this 3rd base, already being weakened from before, will not take long for Jeebus to focus this down, but instead he's going to go for these Roaches, sensing that his force is just overwhelming at this point. Lings stream in, but there's so many mines with their cooldown just ending. Banelings finally have speed, but is it too late? Oh!
Just a smart pickup by Jeebus, knowing that he basically has a defensive positioning right now, ironically, even though he's attacking. These mines really will zone out the Lings, Banelings, and Roaches of the Zerg player, and as long as he can retain as many units as he possibly can, with these mines still being alive, his reinforcements from the bio would just clean everything up. And now we see Jeebus is going in for the final kill. A few mines have been killed off, Banelings being morphed in an offensive position, but there are still 3 mines left over, with a ton of bio streaming in from the Terran base, 144 supply to 121, and this is the biggest problem with attacks like this. If you are not on top of your injects, you're going to float 2,300 minerals, and this is really hurting the economy and the unit count of Reborn.
Yeah, you know, for Jeebus, this timing aligned with so many parameters that were advantageous towards him. The Baneling speed was not done. He supply blocked his opponent just as he moved out by killing an Overlord. And he was able to park those Widow Mines right in front of the third base of his Zerg opponent. However, preserving that hatchery is no small feat. I think Reborn microed quite well despite his, not optimal macro. He is throwing down that 5th hatch there though, and that will help him peck away at the bank that he's built up.
Yeah, this strategy that Jeebus has gone into really does play into Reborn's hands. It's really important to note that. I mean, with this strategy, you have absolutely no air presence. You have very little map presence in terms of where you can be around the map instead of, basically just attacking straight up into the Terran base. So Jeebus actually played that extremely well to not just flat out lose against a player that only had to build nothing but units. And here comes a big attack. Reborn's going to be trying to come from 3 different angles right now. Nice engagement by Jeebus up in the top, and he's going to have a huge advantage with these marine forces at the top. Just 3 roaches at the bottom. There's absolutely no banelings. There's only 2 roaches on the side, and that's going to be cleaned up really easily. 150 supply to 146, 16 lings in production, but he still has 1700 minerals, and he's struggling to keep up with the production of Jeebus, who basically just took a 4th base location very close to the 3rd base of Reborn. And the Terran army is so big right now, it's going to be very difficult for Roachling to actually break this.
Yeah, 3-3 on the way as well. As well as armor for his Widow Mines, drilling claws, so it looks like he will be continuing the same composition as he tries to seal the deal here against his Zerg opponent.
This forward base by Jeebus is extremely smart. It's very difficult for an army without air presence to actually break this without surprising the Terran. I mean, the Terran player can set units up here on the top, and like he's doing right now, just sending out small clumps of units with a medevac out here, he's gonna be able to know exactly where the Zerg army is. And the Zerg army actually only has 1 Overseer right now, so if he's not able to fend off with these drops, he can easily lose that, and then it will be so impossible to break a Widow Mine defense. But it does look like Reborn is going to try his luck by wrapping around into the 2nd base of his Terran opponents.
You know, a lot of Lings make it into the Terran main, but he's got to watch his Roaches and Banes around the 3rd, and actually pulls Lings back out, not deciding to go for or run by there. And Banelings kind of off in Narnia here, not being controlled ideally. They run through, and most of those are dissipated before they make any connections.
And that's actually going to be huge, because despite the low-tech option of just Roachling, Baneling, the only damage you have is the actual Banelings. If you have max Roachling, it's absolutely going to do nothing, especially because Jeebus is completely maxed right now, and 3-3 is basically done, and he's going to be dropping and attacking at the front. This is going to be so difficult for him to hold. He's already having trouble with just 1 drop. Imagine when he has to deal with a double drop into the main base, plus a frontal push with Widow Mines, and it looks like he's going to finally be able to thwart this attack, but that's going to give position for Jeebus to go into the main base.
Yeah, Overlord spots it, but no units have made their way back. Okay, here goes SCA Reborn, sending everything back into the main, and this is just as Jeebus encroaches on the creep, so now his visions of the multi-prong attack currently occurring. How will he save his 3rd base?
175 supply to 196 of a 3-3 full Terran Bio arm. And he's basically going to be able to clean up this entire creep, so if he doesn't kill him on this push, he's definitely going to kill him on the next. All the Banelings are gone, a lot of them crashing into Widow Mines and Marauders. Such a huge force by Jeebus right now. He has 11 Marauders, 26 Marines, 10 Medevacs, and 14 Mines, and he's dropping in all locations as well. The main base drop is still not completely cleaned up. The 3rd base of Reborn is completely down. He has no more bank anymore. He has 0 minerals and 700 gas, but gas is not what he wants to be producing right now, because he really needs to just produce units. 126 supply to 175, and oh my god.
So many explosions. Those Lings doing good work tracking the Widow Mine shots into the main Bioforce. However, the Banelings were cleaned up, and as you mentioned, those are the crucial units right now for the Zerg player. And
even when he was able to
options.
get that lucky hit with the Lings, with the Widow Mines hitting the Bio, he just loses again half his army to the Widow Mines, cleaning it up with an Overseer, and this game really does look over. He still has 2 mines left over in an excellent position, 169 supply to 123, and Jeebus is even going into Hellbats right now with 3 mines being produced at a time. It doesn't even matter what he makes. His economy is just way too good, and there are no more Banelings in this attack. The only ones that are being produced are the ones right in an offensive position being morphed, and they're going to be taken out really quickly right now, and 176 supply to 107. I don't think there's anything Reborn can do.
Yeah, there's nothing to obstruct this endless stream of orange units across the map and right into the face of our Zerg player. There goes Jeebus scoring another point for Grav
Jeebus.